Hey, what's going on, guys? Talk movies with us here. Back with our rankings of the worst / disappointing movies of 2017.
Yeah, there was actually not too many for us because we kind of stayed away from the movies that looked bad.
Yeah, much like our top 10, we didn't see every movie that came out, so there may be a lot worse movies out there. But we just wanted to share the movies that we thought were pretty bad, or like we said, a lot of these movies on this list that we're gonna make were slightly disappointing. Some of these movies we kind of do like, but we wanted a little bit more from them. Well, especially on my side. But yeah, let's get right into this thing.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna start off with my disappointments of the year. Now, these movies were not awful, but disappointing. I was a little let down. And number 1 on this list is Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
I have to cut in. These are not my opinion. These are his opinion.
This is mine, so.
Yeah, because some of these movies that are on his list, I definitely loved, so.
Now, in my opinion, not a bad movie. Really not at all a bad film. But I really, really, really hated what they did with Luke Skywalker in this movie. I'm a huge fan of The Force Awakens. I absolutely love that film. Sure, there are similarities, right? Everyone says, oh, it's a rip-off of A New Hope, this and that. But at the end of the day, I felt like it was a much better paced film and just a more satisfying experience overall. And if you take the very end of The Force Awakens, where the big epic scene where Rey is handing over the lightsaber to Luke Skywalker, and then if you play the opening to A Last Jedi when they're on that mountain and they're doing that whole trade-off, and no spoilers, but by now we know what Luke does with the lightsaber, and to me that was a total SNL spoof. God, it made my stomach turn, and a lot of the jokes in this movie made my stomach turn. That big blue milking titty thing, I don't know. Whatever the hell that thing was.
That was strange. I'm gonna give it that. Yeah, I'll give that to you.
A lot of unnecessary comedy and moments in The Last Jedi. But I'm not gonna get too deep into this movie, but overall,
it was just disappointing. It's not exactly what you wanted.
Yeah, I feel like they turned Luke Skywalker, they bitched him out a little bit.
I loved it.
It was middle of the road for me. So that's my number 1 disappointment of the year, coming off of how much I absolutely love The Force Awakens. I feel like this movie was unpredictable for the sake of being unpredictable. They took whatever the fans were thinking and they just did a total 180, the complete opposite direction of what the fans wanted. And, you know, it worked for some, didn't really work for me. And I could understand why Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, didn't really like his character. It's been documented that he is not a fan of what they did in The Last Jedi with him.
But then he came back and he said that it was wrong for him to go on and say that, and that he actually respects why the choices were made and this and that. So
he does.
Fake news.
Not fake news, because the truth came out in the beginning and then he backpedaled when he was getting bashed for coming out with his true feelings. But anyway, that's my rant on The Last Jedi. But didn't absolutely hate it. There's a few redeeming qualities of the film for me, but most of all, I was disappointed. Yeah, the porgs were the best part.
No, they weren't the best part. They were
no, Adam Driver's the best part. But overall, disappointed with The Last Jedi.
I liked it, guys. I liked it.
I just had to get my
But you're not the only person. They're trying to petition to get it taken off the Star Wars timeline.
I know.
It's just so stupid, but...
we didn't do a formal review on the movie, and I had to get my feelings out to the world.
Okay. Let it all out.
So, there you go. So, that is number 1 on my most disappointing list. All right, that's it. Moving on.
Yes, please.
Number 2 on my most disappointing movies of the year list is Justice League. Now, this movie, we did a whole video on this, so I'm not going to go into complete detail.
Yeah, we did a whole discussion on that.
We did a whole discussion, half-hour video. Definitely check that one out. But in my opinion, Justice League was a complete mess. You know,
well,
you saw it too.
Are you surprised? It's DC. The only thing that they've really gotten right is Wonder Woman. Everything else, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, they were, you know, they had okay things about them, but overall, like, they were sloppy messes as well.
I mean, I will say...
Suicide Squad, let's not even talk about, but...
I enjoyed Man of Steel. I thought Man of Steel was a solid film. Wonder Woman, I absolutely loved. Almost made my top 10 of the year. Really love that one. Gal Gadot is fantastic.
Yeah.
Batman v Superman, I will say, after rewatching it for the 17th time, because I force myself to watch it once in a while just to see, is this movie... But I will say, the more I watch Batman v Superman, the more I respect it. And I respect it a whole lot more after seeing this sloppy mess. And I want Zack Snyder's cut. I will say that.
Well, I think a lot of people want Zack Snyder's cut, and I agree. I definitely want to see his cut because you can blatantly tell when it wasn't Zack Snyder and it was Joss Whedon. It was disappointing, but at the same time, like, I kind of just expected it. You expect the mediocrity at this point. It's not.
Yeah, it was mediocre at best.
I had a good time with it though. Like, I went in and it was okay. You know, it wasn't the worst.
A lot of these films, like this even goes back to The Last Jedi, I gotta rewatch, right? Everyone says, oh, if you watch The Last Jedi 17 more times, you'll actually love it. So, you know, that's what we gotta do now. So,
yeah, a lot of these movies we've only seen one time because there are so many movies to watch. I don't have time to rewatch these things.
And plus we buy so many movies, plus the movies in the theater, plus we got to pay the bills somehow, so we have jobs, so it's a never-ending battle. But, you know, we try to keep up with everything, you know, try to keep up to the day-to-day grind. But yeah, Justice League, my first impression of it, sloppy mess. And yeah, so that is...
Not surprised.
Number 2 on the disappointing movies of the year. Number 3 of the disappointments of the year would be Spider-Man Homecoming.
This one I totally disagree with.
You loved it. For me, like I said in the beginning, didn't hate any of these films I'm mentioning, but also didn't love them. And Spider-Man Homecoming for me was just a Disney Channel original movie with good CGI featuring Spider-Man. And what I will say, coming off of Civil War, I absolutely loved that Spider-Man. And then...
Same Spider-Man.
But once we got the full-length feature of him, he just felt like a whiny baby to me. And his friend was super annoying. The whole supporting cast for me had no redeeming qualities except for the great Marissa Tomei.
Of course.
Because she's...
You just want to bang her.
She's phenomenal in everything. She could do no wrong in my eyes, but she was the best part of the movie for me. No, but overall, my disappointments with Spider-Man Homecoming is the lack of web-slinging action, right? Aside from the annoying characters, everyone gives The Amazing Spider-Man 2 a lot of crap. You have yet to see it. I will defend that movie in the sense that it had the best scenes with Spider-Man slinging his way through New York City. That was fantastic.
Time out.
Yep.
This movie was kind of like his origin story, so the next movie will be more of the action. This was him figuring it all out, and then, you know, him trying to impress Tony Stark and get Tony Stark to give him things to do, and that's why there wasn't that much action.
I thought it was filmed very boring. And that whole twist of Michael Keaton, the ride over to the prom, I just felt like it was very forced. Honestly, it might be my least favorite Spider-Man, aside from Spider-Man 3. So yeah, that's number 3 for me in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Boo!
Alright, on to the next one. And this is going to be my last film that was super disappointing to me. That it wasn't bad, a good, solid, overall sci-fi film, but overall I left the theater very blah, and that would be Alien Covenant.
Agreed.
Alien Covenant for me, it was just so much of Michael Fassbender in this movie.
Well, in our review we said it was Michael Fassbender featuring Michael Fassbender.
And it had close-ups of his big giant feet and shit. I don't know, Alien Covenant to me, it was well made. It wasn't a bad film.
I wanted more xenomorphs.
But more xenomorphs. You know, so much
more
Michael
blood.
Fassbender, more blood, more gritty. One of the positives of Alien Covenant, Danny McBride.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
And I'm a big fan of Danny McBride anyway, from his comedy, you know, Eastbound and Down, I absolutely love.
Vice Principals.
Vice Principals is a friggin' riot.
I love that.
And even, he's my favorite out of that whole, Seth Rogen crew. Yeah, I gotta say, he put up a solid dramatic performance in this movie.
Yeah, I think he was good. And I think that Prometheus, I don't know what the consensus is, but I think Prometheus was better than Alien Covenant.
No, Prometheus is very controversial. I love Prometheus over this film. I will say that 100%. And like I said about Danny McBride, and I will say about Vince Vaughn. All right, it wasn't to the extent of Vince Vaughn's dramatic performance in A Brawl in Cell Block 99, but it's on par with, you know what, this guy could act. He's not just a fart joke, you know? He's an actual actor, and I would like to see more of these guys stepping out of their comfort zone. So I will give Danny McBride that. And overall, it's beautifully shot. You know,
of course.
It's beautifully shot.
It looks fantastic.
It has its moments, but overall,
I think it was just disappointment. That's what it was.
That's what this list is. It's disappointments, guys. So don't think we are haters by any stretch of the imagination. We are just sharing our...
I wanted a lot more from it. I wanted to love that movie so much just because it was an actual alien movie and not Prometheus.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, waiting for that moment, and it just never happened.
No.
So I agree with that one. I definitely agree. And I liked Life way more.
And that was right after coming off of Life, which Life was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone says, oh, rip off of Alien. So I guess any science fiction movie in space that features an alien is automatically a ripoff of Alien. So you can't make any more movies that have an alien in it because it's automatically a ripoff.
It's a completely different alien.
It's different. It's a different movie.
It was a little like Blob.
Just because it has, you know, same settings, it doesn't mean, you know, there's no Sigourney Weaver and Wiener. There's no Sigourney Weaver in Life running around, you know, it's not. So, I mean, it's not a ripoff. So on that note, that was our, well, mostly mine, but our disappointments. Obviously, you disagree with a lot of it, but I just had to get those off my chest.
Yeah, I mean, the only one I agreed with was Alien, but that's okay.
It's okay. Moving on. Now, what are we moving on to? Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty much going to do the top 5 worst. Number 5 being a movie that you didn't see, but so that's why I'll start with that one.
Go ahead.
Number 5 is The Bye-Bye Man. I was bored one day and I was like, let me just see what this is all about. And it was just so bad. I mean, the actual concept of the movie was fairly interesting. Like, it could have gone somewhere, but it didn't. I mean, the acting was horrible. Everything. I just really didn't like it.
I remember you ripping into the actors. You're like, oh man.
My gosh, the acting was just so bad. I think maybe that was quite possibly the worst part of it, and that's why I couldn't wrap my head around the rest of the movie, because the acting was so bad. But anyway, yeah, so Bye Bye Man, awful movie. Definitely had to make the top 5.
Okay.
Number 4, Chips. So Chips was just, for me, it was not that funny. And
Bad.
I love Dax Shepard, and I even like Michael Pena in a lot of movies. But their chemistry together, I feel like it just, for this movie, it did not work at all. Yeah,
I agree. Now, this is one where we're in Target, you know, movie hunting, pop hunting as usual. Picked it up. You know,
it was like $7 or $8, so we were like, yeah, why not?
We weren't expecting, listen, comedies, I give a lot of leeway to. We loved Baywatch. You know, it was a fun movie. It didn't deserve the flack it got.
Yeah.
It's a stupid comedy. I mean, I think it's on par with the 21 Jump Street movies, Baywatch. But this one, for me, was just on a completely different level. Like, it was that much worse.
I just think, it was awful. It just, nothing about it I really liked. Except for Dax Shepard.
Yeah,
But even his, like, the script, it was just not, it was not funny.
And, like, awkward jokes. Like, all right, there's what's it called? Like, raunchy humor, and then there's just humor that's like, this is not funny. Like
after the punchline, like, it's completely silent.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I felt. Like, I was not laughing at all during this movie.
So, yeah, I mean, out of the 2 TV shows they tried to bring back onto the big screen, I would go with Baywatch this year over Chips by far. At least Baywatch, you had some eye candy, you know, you had The Rock's shiny head and jacked up, and
Zac Efron,
that guy.
Alexandra Daddario.
Alexandra Daddario, however you say it, but she's hasn't given a bad performance in my eyes yet. And and yeah, so if you're looking for a stupid comedy to watch, definitely go with Baywatch over Chips this year. And yeah, so that was your number 4.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like this is a together list.
Basically.
The next one, I guess at number, what are we at, 3?
Yeah.
Number 3 is 47 Meters Down.
Yes.
So disappointed in this movie. And now I understand why they kind of released it into the stores, and then they violently took it back, and they tried to release it in theaters.
Yeah, it's so weird how they did that.
But it was. It did not work.
I mean, guys, all right, we all know shark attack movies.
Nothing is going to be on par with Jaws.
There's always oh, that's number 1. But there's always a part, you know, part of the movies are very unbelievable and pretty dumb, right? And the plot to 47 Meters Down, guys, in a nutshell, brace yourselves. I want to get back at my boyfriend because he thinks I'm boring. I'm going to start to swim with sharks. There's your plot.
And then the cage breaks because they go on this old rickety boat with these people that they have no idea who they are. So they got on a boat with mysterious men. These two good-looking young girls get on a boat with these crazy people, and they're like, oh no, the cage is safe, the cage is safe. And then the cage ends up at the bottom of the ocean, and now they're...
Spoiler alert, right?
And then they're struggling to get to the top, but there's sharks swimming around the cage. Listen, it could have been an okay movie.
Yeah, I mean,
we all know that there are dumb scenarios that happen in horror movies all the time.
Of course.
You always wonder why the girls are running and they always fall. You know, it just always happens. This movie, I just think the worst part was Mandy Moore.
Yeah, I mean, I like Mandy Moore in A Walk to Remember, man. She broke my heart in that movie for sure.
And
but this one...
She's apparently very good on This Is Us. We haven't...
Oh yeah, my parents cry their eyes out to it all the time.
But, I mean... And the twist at the end was so annoying. It was stupid. And sorry to Durant, because Durant, I think he put this
Durant
on
Cinema.
his top 10, right?
Yeah, shout out to Durant. Great channel. But yeah, I mean, he liked it. So, I mean, what are you
And I'm sure there are other people who liked it. But, I mean, it came out the year before, but The Shallows, I think, was so much better.
Shallows was very well done. So, hey, we'll do another comparison. Looking for a recent shark attack movie? Definitely go with The Shallows over this film.
I think visually, The Shallows is way better looking,
just
too.
An overall well put together film. I mean, like we said, getting back at the ex-boyfriend by jumping into a rusty cage and can't get past it. I just can't. Overall, it felt like a straight-to-DVD movie. Right?
Exactly. I don't think that it should have been released in theaters.
They tried to push a movie that would have been good. It's not a bad cable movie, but to see on the big screen and in theaters, it just wasn't good.
It just was unnecessary, I think. If I put it on Netflix and I watched it, I don't think I would have been as disappointed, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. If you fell asleep watching it, you would have been happy. But you paid money to see it? Nah. All right, next on this list.
Next, at number 2, is King Arthur.
Yes.
They were hyping this movie since the moment they cast Charlie Hunnam.
Guy Ritchie.
And Guy Ritchie. I love Charlie Hunnam.
And we're huge Sons of Anarchy fans.
Huge Sons of Anarchy fans. Obviously, he's eye candy for me. I like Guy Ritchie's style of directing, and for this movie, it did not work whatsoever.
Yeah, like you said, a very CGI heavy,
and
a lot
CGI
of repetitive
was not
scenes.
Good. It was not good.
It was not good. The story was kind of all over the place to me.
And I don't think that...
Weird CGI. I don't know.
I don't think that... I mean, Charlie Hunnam's not the greatest actor, by all means.
Hey, I enjoyed him in Pacific Rim. He wasn't that great in this.
Right. I just don't think that he kind of worked as King Arthur.
I mean, I think he could have worked, but the movie was just...
Maybe it was just the directing.
And like...
I don't know.
Movies in this kind of setting, you know, we're watching Game of Thrones. You watch a show like Game of Thrones, and I'm not comparing King Arthur to Game of Thrones, well, I kind of am, but you're coming off of watching those kind of battles and those sword battles.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And then you watch something like this, and it's like a cartoon, and it's just...
Or, like, you can totally tell that it's, like, so choreographed.
Yeah.
That it's not even, like, realistic looking. Like, at least with Game of Thrones, like, I feel like I'm in the battle.
100%. Oh, yeah. That's what I thought was kind of lackluster about it, was the action was very, you know, they cut 100 times. That was one of the movies this year, and we did buy it on Blu-ray because we do want to give it another shot.
I will give it another shot, but also because it was $4 or $5 on Black Friday.
Yeah,
I don't know. We're just suckers
and Charlie Hunnam, man. We gotta, you know, the guy's awesome.
I will support Charlie Hunnam.
Of course you would. Gotta.
I still think he would have made a good Christian Grey.
The world
we'll never
know. So on to the next one.
All right, so number 1. And this is quite possibly one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Ever. And that is because I am so passionate about the anime. And that is Death Note.
Death Note. Tops the cake for sure.
When they said that they were going to make a Death Note movie for Netflix, I said, Netflix has been doing some fantastic things. This could be really great, and I have never hated something so much.
And one of the big disappointments of Death Note was we are very big fans of Adam Wingard, the director.
Correct.
I adore Your Next. It's probably one of my favorite horror films of the last 5 years or so. Absolutely love that film. Love their writing. It's always fresh. The Guest.
Oh, The Guest is fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Phenomenal.
So good.
We could rewatch that movie over and over again. It's a great film. Then we get to The Blair Witch, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was a decent watch.
I didn't think it was terrible.
Wasn't terrible. I mean, did it have a lot of differences from the original? Not so much, but it was a good rendition of it, and it pays it respect, you know? Mm-hmm. And then we got Death Note. And what?
And when I heard Willem Dafoe is cast as Ryuk, I was like, okay, this could be really great. Willem Dafoe is a great actor. He's iconic, and oh God.
Yeah, he was the best part of it, William Dafoe. And listen, we understand that you can't jam 3 seasons or 4 seasons of a TV show into an hour and a half. That's a tall task.
For sure.
But this, it does it a total disservice. It really does.
They could have easily made it a Netflix original show. They could have done multiple episodes, see how a season went, and then continued from there.
That would have been good. That would have been good. They still probably should do that. I hope they're thinking about it.
They should just completely reboot it.
They should.
If they're going to. I mean, I don't think it could get any worse.
Yeah.
The kid who plays Light.
Bad casting.
I liked him in that movie,
Paper Towns.
I liked him in that, but that's because he could play a teenager that was like kind of like Light Yagami in Death Note was a very smart
he's a genius student, cool, calm, and collected. And what do we get?
We get a whiny, screaming, stupid teenager. He was just awful. I mean, the hair was stupid. Everything was... I know they're trying to modernize it and they're trying to bring it over to the US for people who don't watch anime. But this is... It was just...
It was the acting, the story, plot holes galore. And listen, we're not expecting a perfect movie, right?
No.
It was just... They took the characters that were so great in the show.
L was... He was...
They stripped them down to, like, shells of themselves, honestly.
I think the guy that was cast as L... He was okay. Like, I think that some of his mannerisms and everything were very similar to the L in the anime.
Yeah, definitely.
But... I mean, the script was bad. I mean, there was some really awful jokes. And I know that we are, for people who watch the anime, we're definitely not alone in hating it. But there were people who have never watched the anime that actually really enjoyed this movie. And for those people, please go watch the anime.
Yes.
And I've heard it before. Oh, I don't do anime. I don't watch anime. This is...
Dude, take it for... I am the prime example.
Like this, yeah.
I will not call myself an anime guy by any stretch of the imagination.
No, if anything, I would be the person in this relationship that watches anime. I've watched a lot.
The only anime I've watched was when I was probably 5, 6, 7 years old watching Pokemon. And in my eyes, that was just a cartoon on Saturday mornings. It was not an anime.
You never watched like Dragon Ball Z or...
I was never big into Dragon Ball Z.
Inuyasha? Like that was big growing up?
Not even Digimon. I wasn't into that. She says you gotta watch the show. It's really screwed up. I think you'll like it. Not screwed up in a bad way, but like effed up, you know, like...
Yeah.
So...
It leaves you with all sorts of emotions.
And I gave it a shot, right?
And you couldn't stop watching it.
And I was hooked. I was really so well written. And the TV show is an example to me of like an onion. It's like every episode peels back another layer and another layer until you get to that core, man. So good. And I wouldn't call myself an anime fan, even still. But this show...
But you liked Death Note.
...is worth the watch. You know, if there's one positive out of this movie... ...is that it got people to check the anime out. I mean, overall, for Adam Wingard, for his track record so far...
It was so disappointing.
This was just a stink bomb. And like we said in the beginning of this video... We haven't seen it all, right? This may not be the worst of the worst. We heard the Emoji Movie was atrocious.
I know, but that's like a movie we wouldn't even waste our money watching.
Exactly. But we haven't seen them all. But out of what we saw this year, this was a combination of the most disappointing and just the bottom of the barrel. Like,
for
bad.
Us, yeah.
But, yeah.
I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
Agreed. You know, this was a pretty fun video to make. Not gonna lie. You know?
I'm sure we're gonna get some hate, but
especially in the beginning of this video, we mentioned a lot.
Well, I'm even hating with those decisions. So
hey, listen, guys, it's all opinions, and that's what all this all it is just opinions. It's all bullshit back and forth. What are you gonna do? It's all in good fun, right? So yeah, guys, thank you for watching our worst / disappointing movies of 2017. And I hope you enjoyed us bashing some movies, you know?
Leave in the comments below your list of the worst movies, your disappointing movies. Like I said, I want to know some other shark movies that are really good. Maybe there's some weird, like, indie shark movies.
An indie shark movie, yeah, that's a good... Comment down below, are there any independent-made shark films?
There might be. I mean...
Yeah. That's gonna be Nicholas Winding Refn's next film, is a shark attack movie.
It'll be beautiful looking, at least.
Beautifully shot shark attacks. But we will see you guys on the next video.
See you later.